The plans have seen legal teams across our city and county receive a rush of inquiries. Zainul Jafferi is a barrister at Clarendon Park Chambers and joins us this morning. Zainul, thank you ever so much for coming on the show this morning. What's the mood amongst those who are impacted? What are you hearing?
I think a lot of confusion, as you heard from Mohammed just now. People just don't know what to do. There's been an announcement, so the threshold has gone up by just over £20,000. And a lot of people are going to be priced out of being able to sponsor their spouse to come and join them in the UK. There's no detail as to the plan at the moment. The current threshold, 18,600. If you can't meet that, you can make up the shortfall from various other sources, support from relatives, the prospect of your spouse being able to work here. But we just don't have the details of what the new rules are going to be like. So I think there's panic, there's confusion. And lots of people are ringing up to ask what they do, and it's very difficult to advise because we don't know what the rules are going to look like. And there's also uncertainty in relation to whether people in the UK already on spouse visas expecting to extend that and then become settled will have to also meet the new income thresholds. There's a lot of panic there as well, and we've been seeing a rise in inquiries from people wondering whether they will be eligible when it comes time to extend their current visa.
So what more does the government need to do? You said there needs to be more clarity, Zainul.
Yeah, because we've had an announcement, which is unusual, so early, and it's a political announcement rather than an announcement through the usual channels as to an expected change in policy. There's been no consultation. It took everyone by surprise. And I think what we really need is some clarity in terms of the detail of the scheme. So is it going to be that you can't come unless your spouse that's living in the UK is earning that level? Or can you meet that threshold from other sources? That would give some solace to people, just a policy document or even a draft set of the rules. We've been told that something will be published in January, but of course that's very close to the deadline. And in the meantime, people are just worried.
So let me just read out a statement to you. A Home Office spokesperson said that the Prime Minister has made clear current levels of migration to the UK are far too high. That is why the government announced a plan this week to decisively cut net migration and create a system that works for the British people. We have a long-standing principle that anyone bringing dependents to live in the UK must be able to financially support them. The minimum income requirement ensures that families are self-sufficient instead of relying on public funds with the ability to integrate if they are to play a full part in British life. How would you react to that? Because the Prime Minister is saying that current levels of migration to the UK are just too high.
Well, the first thing is he's saying that he wants a system that works for the British people, but the rise in the minimum income threshold for spouses of British people doesn't seem to me something that's going to work for British citizens that want to bring their spouses to live here. In terms of not relying on public funds, you can't rely on public funds at the moment anyway. So with the threshold at 18,600, if you bring your spouse over, the expectation is you'll pay for yourselves and you can't rely on public funds. If you do rely on public funds, that could be a ground for refusal when you come to extend your visa. And 38,700 is way above the sort of income that a family needs to survive. I mean, this prices out junior doctors, university lecturers. I think it's about, you were saying 70% of the population. It's above the median average for salary in the UK. And it's also going to create a north-south divide because salaries in the south are higher, salaries in the East Midlands and going up northwards are lower. So we're going to see a situation whereby families in certain parts of the UK are much better placed to have their spouses join them than families in other parts. And to me, it looks like a ill thought out policy that is more directed towards political aims than actually delivering a system that works for the British people.
Zainul, thank you ever so much for your time this morning and for joining us here on BBC Radio Leicester.